Welcome to the Dallas Duo Podcast,
your weekly wellness coffee date.
We're friends in Dallas, always looking for the best ways to optimize our health
and have fun along the way.
Today, we're joined by Josephine Sacre, founder of Atab, is how I refer to it, but Atable, a Dallas-based clean food delivery service focused on nourishing families and supporting sustainability, two of my favorite things. With a decade in tech startups and a background in communication and operations, Josephine blends entrepreneurial grit with a passion for wholesome living. She's also an alum of the UK Lebanon Tech Hub Accelerator and has trained with Babson College and UCL. Originally from Beirut, Josephine brings a global perspective to food, family, and business.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so excited for you to be here.
Me too. Thank you so much for hosting me.
Well, let's dive right in. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind Atable and what made you start this venture?
I came with my family in 2017 to Dallas, straight from London. And right before that, I was going through this program where we learn about entrepreneurship and how to start a business and how to grow it and all these things. That was really very interesting. So when we came here, I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Should I keep on going in this venture or should I go back to my speech therapy, which I've done for so many years? And as I was with our son CJ in kindergarten soccer games, I noticed that people do not really sit down and eat healthily and as a family. And I'm like, okay, maybe there's something we can do about that. So I started small focus groups with mothers from kindergarten, telling them, let's try to find a solution to how we can bring the family back to the dinner table. So doing this for over 5-6 months, every Thursday, making literally Lebanese breakfast as we were discussing all this, we came up with a solution that we need to bring the family back to the dinner table around healthy eating in a sustainable way. And I started Atab in 2018. And voila, this is how it started.
Wow. A determined boy mom in kindergarten.
Well, and I love that you used use that focus group of, your fellow parents at your son's school.
Yes. The idea is, as everything, when you start a business, it's about really finding the need before coming up with an idea. It's not about the idea, it's about the need. And then when you focus on the need and you really see that there's a problem, then you come up with the idea and the solution.
Yeah. What's a traditional Lebanese breakfast look like?
Yeah, I'm curious.
We do something called menouche, which is like a type of dough that you put on it za'atar, which is thyme and sumac and sesame. And then next to it, you would have lebne, which is a type of strained yogurt with a lot of tomatoes, mint, cucumber, onions, olives, and then you might have as well some eggs as well with it. But mainly this is the Lebanese breakfast. It's super colorful. It's a lot of vegetables with
so gut friendly.
Thyme and
sounds
all this.
amazing.
Yeah.
Very good. So I was literally making the dough at home and making the menouche.
When you think about your cultural background, how has that influenced your cooking and the experience that you've created with Atable? Because I definitely think that your background puts a different spin on the business. Because when I look at the menu and even the wording and the style of meals provided, it's very different than other meal services in Dallas.
Absolutely. This is such a good question. I was brought up in Lebanon. During a period that was very it was during the war, right? In Lebanon, there was a big war anyways. So we lived in a village and literally in the middle of nowhere in Lebanon. And we were 8 at home. My grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, my mom, my aunt, and my sister and my brother. So we were 8 at home. So every evening, my mom would be calling everybody and say, les enfants à table. We speak French in Lebanon, means kids at the table. So everybody would gather at the table and we would all have dinner together and it would last for such a long time and conversations would unfold. And it was such a beautiful moment. And anywhere I go in the world, because we moved a lot, there's always this remembrance of this moment, of this time, which is the most important time of the day, where everybody talks, everybody shares their fears, their anxieties, their happiness, everything. There's no other moments where you really can connect as a family. And my mom as well was a big entertainer, huge dinners, huge parties, great food, no catering from outside. Everything was made in-house. The village would gather, would help her, and they would all be making this amazing food, big, huge plates, huge gatherings. So this idea of always having the doors open and people come in and eat and everything is around the food. And our house was surrounded by gardens. My grandfather was a priest. So, and he was the priest who never owned a car, never owned a phone, nothing. All he did is church and working in the garden. So we would wake up at 4 a.m. He would be like pulling the potatoes. Everything would come from the garden and things would be lined up on the balconies to be brought in the kitchen, to be chopped up and washed and everything. This whole sense of local, food system where you pick and eat fresh and then you make great food and you gather around the table. All this inspired me in what we're doing with Atab.
I love that tradition. I mean, it sounds like you had such a strong connection to your family and to the food, and that's something you really wanted to come through with your company.
And the earth, because you would smell the vegetables that would come from the garden. I've never smelled it again since then because it smells the earth. It smells the freshness. It's warm. It's still, it's completely different from when you go and get it from a plastic bag from the grocery store.
Yeah, it's so different. I think of like the carrots I grew growing up with my family, and I don't associate those to be the same thing as the carrots that I buy at the grocery store.
Yes.
It's like a completely different category.
Completely different. Like a tomato that is like still warm because of the sun.
Yeah.
It has a completely different smell and taste than the one that you buy from the store.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is broken. This is broken. But as much as we can go back to it, I mean, I have like rosemary, chive, so many herbs because squirrels eat everything else. But everything I can grow here in Dallas, I can get it. And like oregano, everything, thyme. I have everything that I use in my cooking at home. Mint. I have like a huge jungle of mint. Actually, we have a menu item that is coming, the Persian lamb meatballs with mint chimichurri. That mint will come from my garden. Like it's
I love
huge.
that. She does have a very big garden. It's true.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
So when you think about like your business since the launch in 2017, I'm interested to know like what are some of the biggest pivots or changes you've made? Like maybe even before COVID, because you were in business for quite a few years before then, maybe like from those initial focus groups, you were like, this is definitely a need. And then when you started it and got it in motion, you were like, oh, we need to do this differently.
So there's some funny stories. Like we wanted to do like the deliveries in glass containers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to be brought back and washed.
Yeah.
We were so excited about it. We had like this huge delivery of hundreds of glass containers that I had to give to my friends and family. One of the reasons why we stopped the glass containers is because one of our first initial groups, like one of our investors, literally put the glass container with the plastic lid in the oven. So I'm like, we're still at like 5-6 deliveries and somebody's burning their house, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So we pivoted to those compostable containers that are made out of plant fibers. So it's not plastic. It's great, but it's sustainable and it's scalable. But in terms of pivot, I think actually it's the other way around. I didn't pivot. I actually stayed true to our initial value proposition. Sometimes pivot is super important in business. I'm not saying that you always have to stay rigid and do whatever you thought of at the beginning. But in our case specifically, the value proposition of Atab is bringing the family back to the dinner table in a sustainable way. Means environmentally friendly, means healthily, means wholesome, mean all this. With COVID and everything that has been going on in the last 7 years, staying true to this could have been very difficult to keep the business afloat. In food businesses, it's known the profit margins are very thin. It's very hard to actually make money and sustain the business and all this. But actually, by staying true to what we actually started with, it's what made us succeed over time. And the biggest achievement is to keep the team, is the people that I started with, Jenny, my co-founder. Right? Like those people are core to the success of Atab because we all are aligned in the brand and what we are actually doing.
Well, I think that proposes a good point too. I think a lot of people will say, like, I just wish things were how they were pre-COVID, or, people remember like there was a big shift just in everything. Like quality, everything is so different now. And I think that when people look at a tub, they're like, it's always been the same. It's something that I can always fall back on. Like it's always
Yes.
going to be there. It's never going to change. Where we see other businesses constantly pivoting. It's like, oh, I used to like that, but
Then they changed it.
changed it or they've
Yes.
rebranded
Yeah.
or, everything is different. And it's very hard. Like I can't really think of maybe like Origin. Like I can't
Yeah.
think of like a single restaurant
Many
that's
that
like
have truly
the
stayed.
same
Yes.
Dive maybe
that are like rooted in the same exact thing they were before.
Yes.
when they
Yes,
started.
exactly. Now, COVID helped us with something, I would say, helped us and other meal delivery services, people that are in the same industry. Before COVID, delivery of food was more associated to fast food, like pizza or something like that. The price point would have been lower because a pizza is less expensive than, I don't know, like a chipotle maple salmon that we have on the menu that is much more expensive than a pizza. So the perception of having meals delivered to home because of what happened with COVID, everybody started ordering food in, and very like luxurious restaurants got into DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these things. It helped the perception of value, that it's okay to order food that is more expensive than a pizza. It de-dramatized the delivery.
I think it launched the idea of like what I talk to patients about is like healthy convenience. I think people associate convenience with unhealthy, but COVID actually brought us the need for healthy convenience.
Exactly. That's it.
And better options.
Yeah.
Just that are healthy, not just junk food or.
Yeah.
What is something that surprised you about running a business in Dallas?
One of the most like lovely things that I noticed in Dallas is the loyalty.
You have really loyal customers. We've talked about this.
Yes, the loyalty of the customers, the loyalty of the team. And when I say team that is with me, that works with me on a day-to-day basis, and the loyalty of the extended team. Like, for example, Whitney, with whom we collaborated over the years on so many levels. It's a very interesting thing because it feels very homey. I mean, I come from Lebanon, much smaller country. Like I told you, lived in a village, like literally. The feeling of homey here is amazing. People are really loyal when you are true. That's super important. When you are true to yourself and true to the values that you are talking about, when you walk your talk, people are loyal to you. And
I feel like, and I feel like people here, if they like something, they're going to tell their friends. And so I feel like word of mouth here in
and
Dallas.
like grassroots marketing efforts are incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we barely did any marketing for Atab. I mean, it's literally in the last 2 to 3 years that we started really seriously working on our social media presence. But before that, the growth was purely organic due to word of mouth. I mean, I know who to thank. Like who are the customers who actually I know them name by name, and I know the new ones. It's amazing. I can see that. I feel it. I see it every day.
If you think about other aspects of like healthy living that you incorporate that you feel like maybe inspires others, what are some of those things?
I think first thing is because I grew up in an environment where we eat at the dinner table as a family. This is something that I continued doing. And because I'm preaching it as a table, I'm also doing it because this is who I am. And because we eat clean and we eat wholesome. And for example, every afternoon, CJ comes back from school and the first thing he gets as soon as he arrives is like this huge bowl of fruits and vegetables. Like literally it's that big. And it's every day. And every day it's different. Sometimes I feel like I just need to take pictures of this bowl just to show how beautiful that is. In my mind, he might have ate so many bad things at school because I'm not after him telling him, don't eat this, don't eat that, because it's not good as well to always be at your kid telling him not to eat things. But for me, I give him the good things. And with time, he will realize what's good, what's bad. And at the same time, he's eating the good things. He's balancing whatever bad things he's eating. So, and at dinner is the same thing because I rely on Atable all the time. I know that he's eating what Atable is offering, which is clean and I trust, etc. So I think from this perspective, eating together, eating healthily, eating in a balanced way, and also friends and neighbors. I mean, we have a very open house as well. Like people come over They come in the kitchen, like they don't knock on the door. Nobody asks me, can I come over? You know, like they know that this is just open all the time. And they come like, do you have any snack? Do you have any good thing? I didn't prepare dinner. So it's like that at home. So this welcoming aspect is part of who we are as Atab and who I am as the founder of Atab.
I'm curious. So how old is your son now? And what is maybe one of his favorite things that's on the menu at La Table?
Yeah, so he's turning 13 in June. He's very interesting, CJ. So CJ, one time I made Brussels sprouts for dinner and I made them. I'm not the chef at Atab. And he was like eating, and he was barely 7. And he was eating, and then he said, I feel those Brussels sprouts are gray. And I loved it. So he has this, he has this sense of what's good and what's not good. And he didn't have the words to explain that they were bland or didn't have the right taste. They're gray. I love this about him. So CJ is very conscious about healthy eating. And I think just because he's in an environment that is like that. One of the things that he loves at Atab, it's the broccoli beef stir fry. One thing about that dish is that for her to have the consistency of the meat, because it's like shaved meat, for it to be consistently made, Jenny had to go there and literally do at their premises how to cut the meat there so that they send it to us consistently in the same way. So we're waiting on that dish. It's coming. It takes time to add something to the menu because we want it to be as perfect as possible.
That's the one thing that sticks out to me is I think that there's such high standards for your meals that there's not a super quick rotation of new options. And when I see restaurants constantly coming out with new things or like restaurants that have a huge menu, I just assume that it's not as good. Like I assume that a small menu means that you've mastered a few good options, not a large menu where you're just mixing and matching subpar options.
Exactly, because we want the food to feel as if you cooked it at home. And people want to rely on it every day. The idea is not to go to order from Atab because you feel like Atab once a month. The idea is really we want to bring you healthy eating at home conveniently so that you can rely on it during the weekdays. Not during the weekend, not necessarily during the weekend. Go indulge in a restaurant during the weekend. It's okay. But during the weekdays, you're busy. Don't end up taking bad choices during the weekdays because you didn't schedule your meals, you didn't think about it in advance, because you don't have the time to do this.
One thing I can say that when I first tried it that really struck me was the flavor profiles and just how fresh everything tasted. Even you're reheating it, but it was so wonderful. And you could just tell the care that goes into preparing it and putting together the recipes. I really, really enjoyed it.
Just to give you a small example, I ordered a salad from a local restaurant here in Cider Plaza, a chicken Cobb salad, because we have it on the menu too and I wanted to compare. So the first time it came, it was delicious. The second time I ordered it, because I checked twice for consistency. So the second time I ordered it, it wasn't as good at all. And as I was looking at because I look at every ingredient, I noticed the carrots, the shaved carrot, the grated carrots. And I compared to the ones that we make. When you open a bag of plastic and you have those grated carrots that have those kind of dry edges.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a small detail. Grating the carrots instead of buying already made grated carrots makes a whole difference in the freshness of it. And it's a standard operation procedure in the kitchen. We do not buy pre-packaged cut stuff. We cut them, we grate them, we wash them in-house. The freshness makes the whole difference, especially in
and honestly, the fact that they're being washed in water, the type of water you're using, and even that they have water content, because the things that are sitting in plastic, they're losing their moisture.
Exactly.
And so as they sit on the shelf, just the palatability of it is just different after it's been sitting there for a while.
The nutrients as well, when you grate something and it's sitting for such a long time before it's consumed, it makes these are the small details that make the difference in the end product.
So a table really does have this super strong community feel. How do you feel like you've intentionally created that kind of environment?
I believe that when you are aligned with yourself first, who you are is actually what you're doing. Already the end product, what you're doing, the product of what you are doing is going to be good.
Well, you kind of touched on this. You have an open door kind of policy at home where you're building community, people are coming in and out, and that is
Yes,
showing up then in the product of your
And
business.
with your
exactly.
employees, it sounds that way too.
Yes. But also for people to actually, for something to build a community around it, it's what we call in business stickiness. It's,
Mhm.
or also loyalty or recurrency, where people repeatedly become customers and they stay with you. All this, and then they talk about you to other people. This creates the community, correct? But for it to create a community, it needs a product that actually is worth being loyal to. And for the product to be loyal to, it needs to come from a place of truth. I
Mhm.
truly believe it. Because as I said before, we did not pivot. We actually stayed true with our value. And when you stay true and no matter what, you make it happen, with time, people start believing in it and coming back to it and telling other people about it. And this creates the community.
One aspect that I don't think people realize is you send out a newsletter. Yes, it's for order reminders and new menu options, but I think in that newsletter, a lot of times you highlight community themes almost, not just like the importance of what's on the menu or changes or ingredients, but like you'll throw in tidbits of cultural or traditional, mementos almost in
Yes.
those newsletters. And I think that that helps to amplify the message of the company and bring your community in because they're like reading about it, they're eating it, like they're, being
They really know who
absorbed.
you are. Is there a dish or menu item that has been like extremely popular with your customers? And if so, why do you think it's been popular?
I'm thinking of a specific dish. I mean, very weirdly, the classic chicken salad is one of
Yeah.
the highest sellers. I think because it's something that people love here. I've never known classic chicken salad before coming to Dallas. I didn't know that existed. So that's something that people love. But it's just one thing. But I thought a lot about this question. I think the overall feel of home cooking, makes the menu overall like evenly liked, if you want, all the dishes, because it feels like home cooking. Like I see other meal services, they cater to individuals more than families. It feels individualistic.
Yeah, it's mostly like single serve or like single meals or
Yes,
bowls. I feel
yes,
like you guys have a mix. There are some options that could
yes.
be eaten as a single meal, but there are a lot of like a la carte and family style.
Yes, exactly. And the way we're cooking and the what we choose to add on the menu is has always this feeling of home cooking, of it reminds you of home. It reminds you of what probably your family, your mom, your grandma cooked at home. And sometimes we bring in meals that are not necessarily known here. For example, this week we have a meal that is made in Palestine and Syria. It's called musakhan. People don't know what's the musakhan, but we tell a story about it. We say that sumac is a spice that comes from the Middle East, and the name sumac in Aramaic means red. Aramaic, the language of Jesus, it means red because it's a red spice. We tell the story behind it so that people feel that it might actually resonate with them somewhere and they want to try it. And when they try it, they love it and they order it again. There's always something that has a meaning behind.
That's super powerful.
For people who are new and who've never ordered from a table, what would you recommend? Say it's a busy family with kids. What's something you would recommend to them to try as like their first entry to
Or like, yeah, how to
the
approach it.
Yeah.
Like the gateway food to
Yes.
top.
So I have different segments. I have the segments of the families, let's say a family of 4 with kids, and you have the segments of empty nesters, and I have the segment of seniors, which is a very interesting demographic that is growing tremendously with Atabel and that I personally take care of. I usually place their order myself. I place their order and make sure they have their meals delivered to them. I mean, I love this because I know that they are in so much need of help in that aspect, which is clean, good food delivered conveniently to them. For a family, I always ask first if they have allergens. If there's no allergens, I want something that is very approachable to the entire family. It could be as simple as what we have this week on the menu, the classic spaghetti with meatballs.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes, as simple as that. If a family all of them have gluten and they're fine with that and they don't need a low carb item, one of the parents or something, It's great. I know that it's grass-fed meatballs. I know that every item, every ingredient of that dish is the cleanest you can possibly have. So why not? Who said that spaghetti is not good for you if the ingredients are good?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it kind of depends on the family. And some family tell me, no, I am on a low carb diet. One of the sons have, let's say, celiac or something. Then I help them figure out more individual portions, each one something different, so that each one has what he needs.
I'm interested in kind of like that family's
Mm.
order. Like, do most people order like one family style meal? Do they order like 5? Do they do a mix of family style and a la carte? What do you normally see going out? Because I know like I usually order like lunches and then I'll order some proteins and vegetables that I then put together with dinner that I'm like supplementing with my own cooking because I want to cook, but I don't have margin to do all of it.
Again, it depends on the customers. I see some customers who always consistently order family meals. Family meals on delivery on Monday, it covers Monday and Tuesday, and another 2 for Wednesday, it covers Wednesday and Thursday. They cover almost all of the weekdays. I see a lot of people doing this plus individual meals and the salads that they take for lunch to their office. There's no one way of doing it. It's very different, but it's kind of consistent within the family. I can see the same patterns within the family when I try to look at it and analyze it. But overall, it depends.
Well, and it sounds like you really have a system where people can pick and choose what works well for them, for their family, for their schedule. And
Yes,
so that's
yes.
that's wonderful as well.
Let's say a family, usually the purchaser is the mother, I would say, in a family. If the mother doesn't find something suitable for one of the members of the family, she might say, oh, it's not worth it then to order from Atad since I'm going to have to prepare one item. It's very important that the menu caters to everybody so that you always find something for everybody. Ideally, it's one big family meal for everybody. But sometimes the family has different dietary needs, so it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, that's a really good aspect.
Yes.
When you have created something so magical and so really such like a hidden gem in Dallas, if you think over that time period of creating a table, what is like one piece of advice that you would give like a female in Dallas starting the business that you think would make a big impact, the biggest difference?
I think there's 3 things, so not just one thing. I'm going to say the 3 things that I think are very important. First is stay true to your value proposition. Super important. First thing. Second thing is you're not alone. Ask for help. Be resourceful. Super important. And the third thing that I would say is trust. Really trust. Trust that it's going to work. Because if you're always in doubt, it's not going to work. You're in fear. Fear doesn't get you anywhere. Just trust that what you're doing is the right thing. If you can do all these things while being very flexible, like water, you can figure it out. Don't be rigid. So it's a little bit of all these things together that I think would help a lot.
What are you currently loving in the kitchen? Are there any seasonal ingredients, flavors, or rituals?
Yes. So 2 things that I'm loving in the kitchen is how we got to a point where the culture in the kitchen and the feeling in the kitchen is so happy, right, that it reflects in the food. You know, when you're preparing an omelet and you're upset, it doesn't work. Right? What you feel while you're preparing something reflects in the food that you're ending up making. So I think by having a team that is so happy and relaxed and aligned with where we're going and the mission, it's reflecting in the food. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we've heard recently about the importance of not using seed oils and they are inflammatory and all these things. I know science hasn't yet decided exactly what is accepted in terms of quantity of seed oils, but we decided as a kitchen that since there's a big question mark on the seed oils, let's remove the seed oils because we know that avocado oil and olive oil are the best oils. So we moved out in terms of cooking out of these oils and removing, like we're literally using exclusively olive oil and avocado oil. We're very proud that we were able to shift and to transition. And now in terms of condiments and ingredients that we have in house, like for example, a tortilla, like the mayo and these things that it's very hard to find them also free of seed oils. We're working on them as well. And now literally we started working with a new tortilla company and they do not use seed oils in their tortillas. So small changes towards the big goal of having the cleanest possible food and kitchen without being pretentious. And this is very important for me.
I think that this stands out to me because for other companies, I think it might not be as important because we say, Americans as a whole are consuming more seed oils than is beneficial for their body.
Yes.
If a table is serving as people's mainstay for meals is the bulk of the place that people are getting seed oils. And we usually tell people, eat less fast food, eat out less, and you'll naturally decrease your seed oil intake. But then that's assuming that they're going to cook at home. And if they're not cooking at home, then they're still having a seed oil problem. And so if they're using a table as a replacement for the meals they're cooking at home, it's nice that they align with what I would cook with at home, right? Like if I'm cooking with avocado oil at home, it's hard for me to buy a meal that doesn't have the same standard.
Yes.
Because it's not going to have the same impact on my health.
Absolutely. In our philosophy, we are not competing with restaurants. We are not competing with delivery services. From a business perspective, we're competing with home cooking.
Mm-hmm.
We are telling the person who cooks at home usually, take a break. We are going to help you because we're not competing with others because we do not have the same standards. So by not using seed oils, by not overdoing the salt, the sodium, just for it to be flavorful, but it's actually something that's going to make you sick after a while. It's not a sustainable solution for us. We're not after a feeling that, oh, that was delicious. No, we're after a long-term feeling that I feel good adopting this solution.
I think that's a great point because if I'm going to outsource some of the cooking, if I'm I'm really busy, I need to order something for the week. I want something that's either as good or better than what I can make at home.
Especially when you are a home cook. I think it's different. Like for my patients that have never cooked or they're they're used to fast food and different things, their standards are different, right? Like they don't see a difference between Chipotle or Taco Deli and cooking at home, right?
Yes.
Where when you are a home cook and you
know
how to nourish your family or you grew up with that, you're like, whoa, there's very few things that I could order that would match my effort and value.
Exactly. And that's it. And we're trying to be as close as possible to this feeling. And this is our mission, whether it's the nature of the ingredients, the way we're cooking, the menu items that we're offering. This is what we want to feel as if you're cooking it at home.
I just want to mention this as well for people who have not tried a table. We've talked a lot about dinners, but another thing that stood out to me with your service was how wonderful the breakfast items are.
Yes.
And also the desserts. So maybe if you could speak to that, because I think for people who haven't tried it and maybe want some breakfast support for busy mornings, that could be something that they would want to know.
Yes. So we have a whole breakfast line. For example, the egg cups, the breakfast tacos. As I said, we're using those tortillas that are free of seed oils now. The sweet potato hash, a delicious breakfast item. We make the sausage in-house. We do not buy sausage already made because we never know what's grinded in those sausages when you buy them already made.
Yes.
So it's a great line. I love it. I always rely on the breakfast as well for atab. And we are having those little sweet treats that we're making, like for example the cacao bites. They're made with
I was trying to find it on the menu. They're to die for.
They have cinnamon in them.
Yes, and they're made with just date and flax seed, like flax meal, cacao, cinnamon, a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I mean, that's it. Those are the ingredients. And they're so good. And eating that one or two, it satisfies your sweet tooth. And then that's enough. You don't need more than that. Also, there's something else that I want to tell you about. So we launched this new thing. I love our salads. I think our salads are amazing. They're all designed by Jenny. And I think Jenny makes magic with the salads. So we started this line. It's a smart refrigerator. It's like a convenience refrigerator where you buy Twix and all these. Okay. So this refrigerator, we're going to be putting it in offices, hospitals. We bought the first one.
Like Farmer's Fridge.
Exactly, like Farmer's Fridge. We got the first one in Stanley Korshak. for the employees of Stanley Porsche. And so we are focusing on salads and breakfast items. These are the two items that we're putting into it.
That's
So funny.
exciting.
So I got targeted. This is random. I got targeted by a random reel the other day about this guy making passive income off of having vending machines.
I've seen that.
And I saved it. And I told my husband, I was like, all I do all day long is test healthy food. And I've seen like people talk about healthy vending machines and stuff.
Yes.
But I was like, can you imagine if it was a
Stop.
dietitian owned vending machine that had all of the parameters on it? Like, you know, no sugar, no seed oils. I'm like, and I can
Yes.
put it outside of
curated-
Equinox. I'm like, or I could put it on SMU campus
A curated vending machine.
with my face on it.
I think
you know?
you're onto something.
Yes, we'll work on this, Whitney, for the next one.
Next meeting.
That's
I love that.
That's so exciting though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great because I really think this is gonna be working because people are loving it at Stanley Korshak. Now they don't have to go grab like an unhealthy thing, and
Well,
they
it's such a great place too because like there's a flower child, but there's very few options in that area. of town.
that specific area.
Exactly.
I love how innovative that is too.
Yeah, so
That's-
innovative.
Yeah,
I love
but-
that.
All right,
So
let's wrap up.
where can our listeners find you, or connect with you, or learn more?
Okay, so Instagram is our main social media channel, and then they can also sign up for our newsletter where they can read like, the updates that we have.
Thank you so much. You are so wonderful.
That's really awesome to have you.
I love hearing more about your story.
Thank you for hosting me.
Oh, it's been such a joy to see it grow and see what it's
You.